the heart of your system.
I'm Neil Warder for KitGuru.
And I'm Storm.
The idea of today is that Storm's going to build her first gaming PC, hence the boxes of bits and pieces. But we want to avoid a VERGE type catastrophe. So this is Storm doing it. I'm just going to be here and wave my hands if I see something I don't like the look of. I'm not going to be teaching Storm. I'm going to be sort of just there as a backstop. Storm, what do you know about PCs?
I know how to use them. Right. I don't really know how to build them too much.
Now we've got boxes of bits all around. Graphics card, motherboard, power supply. You know the terms, but actually putting them in the case, that's the you haven't done before.
That's correct.
Terrific. Okay, let's just rattle through what we've got and then we'll get on. So from the top, we have MSI RTX 2070, which I believe Dominic has previously reviewed. And then MSI said we could use for this project, which is jolly good of them. Similarly, ASROCK Z390 Taichi Ultimate Motherboard, we've reviewed that, and again that's been put into the kitty by ASROCK, which was jolly good of them too. Let's clear this out of the way. Overclockers, this apparently is a mouse mat. We're going to use it as a build mat, and the reason we have that is because Overclockers also sent us this Core i9-9900K, which is jolly good. Lots of money for that processor, but more importantly, Haribo, they sent us Haribo, so God love them for that. And then we get on to all the Corsair good stuff. So we have a Corsair MP510 SSD, we have Corsair Vengeance Pro RGB, there's a fair bit of RGB going on here. We've got custom cables for the power supply there, HX750i. We've got 2 packs of their very swish LL120 fans. Over there we have the H1, just drag that in, Storm.
There we are.
That's the H100i RGB Platinum cooler. Silas reviewed this quite recently, but that's actually brand new. And behind me, I can't drag it on the table, so I'll flatten everything. We have the Corsair Carbide SPEC Omega, again RGB case. Everything we need, plus I've got a Windows 10 license for Storm ready to go. So if we clear the decks, it's over to you.
Okay, wish me luck.
So if you lift and put deck flap out like that.
Oh wow. All right.
So we're upside down at the moment.
Let's pop this out of the way.
That's it. Which way's the bag open? Oh, the top. Often it's right.
Yeah, so we need to turn it around. Oh my goodness. This is a beautiful case. Wow.
How we do it?
Got it?
2 grown people, 1 plastic bag, defeated.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Okay, any more plastic to peel?
Well, just this,
Okay, if we lay
window.
that down.
All right.
And Allen key. We
Need some Allen keys.
okay.
Some over here.
Nope, there you go.
Thank you.
That was right first time.
Okay. Step 1, get into case. I mean, it's nice that it's so big. I'm definitely going to have a lot of room to play around with because I'm gonna need it, seeing as how this is my first build.
Just realised we've got the
the Allen key in there.
Just realised got the user guide and it's got an Allen key in there.
Read the instructions.
Well done, Corsair. Then I was wondering what they were playing at.
All right.
If we need to actually open the user guide, that would be a mark of failure. Okay, off with the glass, and we'll put the glass
Back in there?
in the box for the moment, just to keep it safe.
Okay, so I'm seeing some fans in here already. Some
We
wires.
should have, right, we've got, let's see which camera can see this. If we just turn that, so it's a conventional case, ATX tower, one fan at the back, one fan at the front, but we've got, is it 2 per pack? So we've got, yeah, 3 per pack. So we've got another 6 LL120s. We've got more RGB than we need,
Wow.
which is the best way to do RGB. And so if we lay that down,
All right.
and then we'll get weaving, let's put the processor and such like in the motherboard first. Let's do that.
Okay.
So we'll take the case out of the way, and we'll sit back down. There you go.
So
Okay.
motherboard
Motherboard
is
that hefty great beast there.
this one.
Yep.
Alrighty.
And you're going to need a screwdriver, so I'll let you figure out the packaging.
How many storms does it take to get into one box? It takes one. Aha. Just about. Wait, I got it. Yeah, there we go. Wow.
And a hefty great accessory pack under there. At the moment, we probably don't need much of that.
No.
We are going to need the I/O shield.
Okay.
Input, output. We've got manual in the usual way, drivers in the usual way, SLI bridge we don't need. That's a thick manual. And we've got SATA cables, and those should be screws for the M.2 SSDs, 3 slots. We need 1 of them. Oh, and that's a Wi-Fi doohickey. We'll leave that out for the time being.
Who needs a manual when you've got a Leo?
Let's clear that to one side. And then if you lift the motherboard out of there.
Okay. There are so many pieces in here. I'm genuinely quite scared to touch this thing. All right.
Looking good.
Can you take it out of this as well?
Yep.
Interesting.
You can tell this is been used for review already. When they typically arrive from ASROCK, they're cable tied in place to try those ridges are in. So you have to then cut the cable ties so they're dead secure for shipping. Okay. Processor in the little white box. Processor into socket.
Processor into socket.
Yep. So it's a £600 processor and a £300 motherboard. I must confess, this is the single part of this entire thing, because it's the thing. Drop the processor into the socket. I should be talking to you really. Drop the processor into the socket in a slightly cack-handed way, and you break everything. No pressure. This is the only part of the job where you can really muck it up. And if you're a newbie watching this rather than just someone who wants to see how well Storm does, if you're doing this for yourself, you really do need to be careful. So I'm going to offer more guidance than I should be. So that's the unlocking arm. That's the socket, which is socket 1151. If you'll have to work really hard to break the processor, breaking the socket dead straightforward. If you take that, there's a notch there and a notch there, which aligns with
those two.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. So it's this way around.
Yep. And personally, and you're probably more delicate than me, I find the easiest way is to engage it on one side, so one of these notches is engaged, and then lower it, because there's no sort of handles or anything.
I feel like I need a heartbeat track.
Nicely done. And then you pop out a little protective shield.
Oh.
Yep. And then lay it down. And then once it's hooked in, that's it. And then the arm comes down.
Is it supposed to, am I supposed to feel resistance? Okay.
And then you kind of hook it under. That's it. Yep, there you go. Processor installed, and it is a genuine retail Core i9 1900K. It just came in a non-retail box, so thank you, Overclockers.
Thank
you. Yeah.
One down.
Yeah. Let's put the RAM in next for the fun of it. We could do that when it's in the case, but I just want to see how it looks actually. So that's
This one.
Yep.
The DDR4 Vengeance.
Yep. So 2x8 gig, 16 gig kit. We all know that memory is terribly expensive at the moment. It's terribly expensive for a year or two. Loads of RGB and 3200 megahertz, which is just ideal for a Core i9. 2 modules and 4 slots. This was part of where the Verge was rebuked badly. So it's a dual channel kit, and rather than look at the manual, because it's always the way, it's that slot there, the second one away from the socket, and that slot there, the fourth one away from the socket. Those are the 2 that you populate.
Oh. Is there a reason why it's the second and the fourth?
No, it's never made any sense to me. It's something to do with the traces being the longest, but essentially those 2 slots are one channel, those 2 slots are another channel. You'll find really high-end overclocking boards often have just the 2 slots, so because overclockers will be using 2 modules only to keep the traces as short and compact as possible, and quad channel boards will have slots typically on both sides of the socket. And there we go. Do we have any peel-off stuff on there? Or
Doesn't look like it. Looks like it's ready to slot in.
Go for it. Now, which way around does it go?
Looks like this way, given the maybe
Little latches. See if it hits the keys or not.
All right. Yes, I think.
Looking good. Push down and it should click.
I'm so afraid of
Push it
things
down.
clicking.
Push it down.
No, I don't think. I'm scared of
No, you're
breaking.
Just assist. That's it. That's it. You have to push harder than you expect, don't you?
Yeah, way harder. When you're dealing with such expensive kit, you think any sort of clicking is something breaking.
£300 motherboard, £600 processor, 200. I think £200 the memory kit. Same again. For
Not
that.
making me feel any better.
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure whatsoever. Next video, storm breaks of an expensive PC. Oh no.
Yeah, it's amazing what we can do with editing though. All good.
I think so.
Right, let's get this clutter out of the way. Power supply in the case, but before we do that, we can put there's like a mounting frame for the CPU cooler that goes on the board. So perhaps if we do that.
Okay.
Cleared away a few boxes there. If you reach for the MP510 SSD, which is an M.2 SSD, so it looks like a stick of chewing gum essentially, go for it.
Stick of chewing gum.
That's how I think of it. I'm open to... Do you need a knife?
No.
You've got fingernails.
I've got nailed, yes. Oh, no, okay. No, I see the chewing gum reference. I see it. So, where does this bad boy go?
Now you've got one M.2, two M.2, and I think there's another one under this cover here. Because the graphics card is going to go in that slot there. If you put it in this slot here, it's basically covered by the graphics card. Doesn't strike me as a bright move. Personally, I tend to use that slot there, but this one has the it's like a thermal pad on it, so we could go for that one. So let's. It does look quite okay. Your choice. Do you want to put it under that slot there, where you've got this sort of aluminium shield, which is going to be give it a bit of thermal assistance, or do you want it there where you can see it?
Thermal assistance sounds like a useful thing, right?
So you're going for technical over aesthetics.
Sounds a bit wrong considering all the RGB stuff I've got, right?
It's valid. It's your build. It's your decision.
Okay. Right. This is clearly going to be an aesthetic build. Let's go for aesthetics right now.
Right. In that case, so that's the contact key. That goes in there.
Okay.
And you kind of put it in at a slight angle and then lay it down.
Oh, up
That's
here.
it. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Maybe support the board with the other hand just so it doesn't. I'm thinking.
Oh.
When you push it in, so it's kind of like memory. It's a gold finger. You need to actually make sure that's engaged. Actually, push it into the slot. That's it. And then lay it down. As you do, that little notch should just line up with that female thread below it. There we go. Now this is M.2 SSDs. I personally think are brilliant little things. They're great. They're fast. They're straightforward. But these fiddly little screws. That's it. And in. Oh, it's not so bad flat on a bench. Trying to do it in a case. Oh, horrible, horrible, horrible. Is that engaging? I can't tell everything. It's only a couple of turns, but feel good?
Yeah.
Terrific.
Feels
Okay,
good.
we're happy. No nerves there. And then take this out of the way and this out of the way.
And these.
And the last thing to do before we get to the case, I think, is to take this cooler.
Okay.
So if we slide the motherboard out of the way for the sec.
This looks pretty flashy. If I can get into it, it is... Ah, there we are.
Now this is going to be for multiple processor types. So if we grab out the hardware, so 1 fan, 2 fan,
Whoa.
radiator, hoses, pump assembly.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. And we've got one more wire in there. Oh, and...
Yeah, that's the fittings. Okay.
Okay.
Now we've got far more fittings than we require because it's for multiple CPU types. But we grab out instructions.
Okay. Get that out the way. Yeah.
Lovely. So it covers both the H100i, which is the 240mm version, and the H115, which is the 280. They break it down. Corsair does a pretty good job with their manual, so it's IKEA, but with a load of words as well. So this is the thing we're going to do before we put the board in place, which is installing the Intel backplate. Bring in the motherboard.
Okay.
So we don't need the main stuff. That's the backplate. We don't need the USB cable at the moment.
So it's this way on.
So that's going to go
Upside.
on the back, just as it's shown.
Yeah. So...
Actually, you can, certainly for the sake of the... lay it down gently, but it's resting on the RAM. It's absolutely
okay.
fine. And if you put the back plate, so those 4 little doohickeys go in.
Oh, here? Okay.
Which are the holes you'd be using if you had a standard Intel cooler with those sort of 4 plastic pop pins that you may or may not have seen before, actually thinking about it. Everybody I've ever spoken to about internals of PCs has wrestled with the standard Intel cooler, which has the 4 pins that go in those female.
Not too sure that these...
Okay, these slide because it's multiple.
Oh, they slide.
Yeah, and so LGA 2011, the Extreme Editions, will be the outer positions, and for this, they slide in. And if you chose, you could peel off the backing paper, and you could actually stick it down as double-sided tape under there.
Oh. Ah.
Yep. You see, it's a good point. I mean, this is actually why it's interesting. It's interesting for me seeing this. It's interesting as a reviewer because that sort of stuff, I've done it that many times I've forgotten. And they say put it in place. They don't actually say make sure you slide them into. So handy to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's stage 1.
Right. So now I need to install the Intel standoff screws. Which are, wow.
As I say, you've got a lot more fasteners than you require. Okay.
There's these ones?
I've not seen those type before.
Yeah, it looks like these ones.
Identify... Right, okay, so Intel 1151, which is what we've got here, and those are the 2011s. The 2011s, just to show the lovely people, because this is also a kind of tutorial, isn't it, for the people out there. So these are much shorter, and they've got... The way you doubly identify them is... The ones for 2011, which is Intel Extreme Edition, have a fatter thread at one end and a thinner thread at the other. So these are the 4 thumb screws that are going to hold the whole thing down, and they go on these small threads like so, and similarly like so. But these are not the ones that we want.
You want the bigger ones.
Those are the ones that you already selected quite correctly. So we can park those, and you reach for... We've got more than we need. Got loads.
So should
AMD fittings as well, that's why.
Ah. Okay, so I pop these on first and then this, or should I do them together? And
no, sorry, that thumb screw comes after. Right, so you've got 1, 2, 3. Where's the 4th? Or
that one?
Thank you. Good eye. Okay, so you can use double-sided tape or just hold it with your hand, and now you're flipping the board over because you're putting these through.
Oh,
This is why we're doing it before it goes in the case.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Maybe the double-sided tape would be a good idea
fine.
then. Just because I don't trust myself that it's not going to slide about. There we go. There we go.
Happy?
Happy. Okay, I
it.
see where it goes now.
That's it. And because these are symmetrical, so that there isn't a correct end to go in, it's whichever end. And just finger tight's all you need, just so you can feel them nip up, and
Okay.
as long as you're happy, that's it. That's great. There's no need for hand tools for this.
Ah, good to know. I mean, so far we've not needed any really extra tools, which is...
Well, screwdriver for the M.2.
Right.
And this is the thing. Generally, you need a number 2 Phillips for putting motherboard into case and for taking out fan screws and such, like moving fans around, and for installing a power supply. Number 2 Phillips will do everything, which is that's a number. That is number. No, it's
Number 1.
that's a number 1. A number 1 would just about do the trick if you must. Number 2 works for everything except for M.2. They're fiddly. They're either a 1 or a 0.
There we are.
Good. Okay, and that's stage 2 or stage 3?
Stage 3 is install the fans and radiator.
Okay, so we're onto the case. So we've now got the motherboard assembly. Funnily enough, if we put some power to that, and obviously a cooler, that is actually the PC.
Huh.
All the rest of it is just kind of the cooling and the graphics and such, like, because you could connect to graphics output. And if I'm doing a build myself for test purposes and such, like, I typically actually at this stage would put the motherboard assembly on a box, because a box is non-conductive. I'd hook up the power supply, bung a cooler of any description on, and fire it up and just check that I've got life. And I can also install Windows at this stage, because if you have a problem later it can be a bit of a bore. But this is a relatively simple build, so we're just going to plough on, cross our fingers, and obviously this is almost all new components, so there really shouldn't be a problem. If you're buying used stuff, then, or someone's given you used stuff, then clearly you want to check it. Right, let's bag up all these fasteners for the time being, get them out of the way.
Okay.
Did those all come out of there?
Yeah. Oh no, not that bag.
No,
It was... I'm not sure which bag they came... No, it must be those two, but I'm not sure which bag these guys came out of. This is not this
Do
one?
you think I tied it up? I've been overly tidy. It's gone back in there, hasn't it?
This is an absolute nightmare for me because I managed to lose a washer when I was building a chair. It just rolled away from me and I couldn't find it again. So
Oh, you never found that?
Well, I did after the chair was finished. No good to me then.
The way of it. Right, let's get that out of the way. Okay, so we'll put all the bits and pieces for the cooler in the cooler box so we know where it all is, and we'll come back to that in a moment or 3. Put that down there. So the cooler, get the case up, and we'll put the power supply in next.
Okay.
Clear this out of the way. There you go. Okay, go to the case. Does it have a... Right, so the back of the case is fixed. Sometimes you have a separate plate that can come off, so you need to go in. So remove the side panel.
Haha.
It's the world's worst television, this, isn't it? Let's turn it so we can actually see it. There we go.
Oh, Bryony did a cover. She did a review of the PC building simulator game. I should have played that before I started this, huh?
Good point.
Because it has at least a couple of ideas on how this works.
There we go. Okay, take that off you.
Okay, so what is this here?
Right, that is a Commander Pro or Commander Mini, which is a Corsair controller for their RGB fans. So at the moment you've got 2 connections made because you've got the 2 fans that are installed. Okay,
and another one here.
let's just lay the case down so the gentlefolk can see. So those are your two drive bays, and there, as is the usual way, you have the accessory pack installed like you'd install a drive. So that's the accessory pack, which will be probably a bag of screws and some cable ties and such like, just as we'd expect. So that's installed in one of the drive bays. That's entirely normal. That is more drive bays. Your power supply wants to go in there. So have we failed? Have we got to read the manual? Or do we go through the main compartment? I think we're going to read the manual.
Oh, okay. So we're looking for where the power goes into.
How do you get the power supply in the case?
Okay, well it looks like there's quite a few more pieces that come apart still. So installing motherboard, side panel, hard drive, SSD.
Installing power supply, so it's the main compartment. Okay, so we flip the case over.
So it goes in.
So the windows
here.
So power supply cover has to come off.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So remove side panel, you did that initially. Install the motherboard, obviously you could install the motherboard. Install hard drives, easy peasy. Install SSDs. Installing power supply. But they're showing the case open. That shroud has to come off.
Yeah.
Remove top front panels, that's easy peasy. Okay, that's looking to me as though the manual doesn't actually tell you a necessary step. That would be quite on Corsair like. That's all gubbins.
You can't, yeah. Alright, so have to get
Do you
this.
literally just
Pop it off, you think? Oh look, these pieces, maybe.
Yeah. Is it a slide or is it an unclipped job? Just try it.
I don't know.
Okay, there's latches at right. There's a latch at the rear.
Okay. Where?
There.
Ah, I see.
I'm feeling really bad about the jokes about the Verge earlier now. You saw the Verge video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's a screw from the other side. That's got to be a screw housing from the other side. Let's.
Okay. Yep, I see it. This one here.
Excellent. There you go. Let's just rotate that so the ladies and gentlemen can see.
Oh, which one was it? Was
That's
it this
it,
one?
yeah.
Oh, not done enough.
Did I say something earlier about Corsair being really good with their manuals? Wow, that's
You
coming
might
back to
have.
bite me, isn't it? Okay.
Do you think it's just that one, or
Soon find out.
I feel like it must be this one as well. Yeah, I felt something give there. Fingers crossed that was the one we
giving it a
need.
good
Yep, there we go.
Terrific.
That's moved.
Right. So if you flip it back round. So if that shroud comes out.
There we go.
Okay. With the magic of editing, this 10 minutes of confusion is going to... Seriously? Why isn't that coming out now? Another
Because
screw.
of this, surely, no?
It wants to come that way. No, it's because another screw on the back. Have you found something?
I found it. There's another screw.
Brilliant.
Couldn't see it though. So in our defence, it was well hidden.
And this is not in the manual?
No, not in the manual.
No. Okay, rightio. Still feeling slightly annoyed, but what can you say? Right, can we now winkle that out? There we go.
Ah,
For
wonderful.
goodness sake. Ta-da! And that was two grown adults being defeated by a fairly straightforward case. Okay, we're making progress. Next stage, installing the power supply. And if you can hear that noise, it's raining really hard here. Power supply time.
Very important power though.
Actually, I'm going to take those out of the way, so horribly noisy. So apart from the fact it's rated at 750 watts, which is far more than we require for this build, and it's always better to, there you go, have a knife. Always better to go up because you want the power supply running at about 50% of its rating because that gives you peak efficiency. So 750 watts to run a Core i9. Right then, now we've got some custom cables here from Corsair, which I'm guessing are going to plug.
Custom cable.
But it, yeah, for the look of it. So
aesthetic build.
Exactly right, exactly right. So they're white. So we ought to be going with these directly into the power supply rather than the cables that come with.
Gotcha.
So if we take mains cable and then take the little bag which has got some fasteners and such, I can take this out of your way. Ordinarily we'd be using the cables in this pouch here, but they're just your standard black licorice jobs. So we're not going with those.
Wow, okay.
Lovely. Now then, you've got, show the camera the end of the power supply because it's fully modular. Let's go to yours there. So we've got all manner of connections. What have we got? We've got a 24 pin. Get it the correct way up. So we've got a 24 pin main ATX. We've got 2 peripheral SATA, another one, more peripherals. That's 5 for peripherals, 2 for 5 for graphics, which is about double what we need.
Wow, okay.
So we're going to grab cables out of there to suit your build.
According to our drawing, it slots in right there.
Yeah, it's going to be easier to install the cables in the power supply first because once it's in, you're kind of going. It's not the end of the world. It's reasonably open, but just to make life easier on yourself. Now, have we got a rocker switch on the back of the power supply? We do, so we don't really want to stand it on end. So if we just sit it down, let's grab the stools in. There we go. So if you select the cables that are relevant, what have we got? So you've got, okay, actually, let's do a little quiz. Do you know what that's for, that cable there?
I do not.
Okay, that's SATA.
That's...
So, as in SSDs and such like, or hard drive, and that will power about 3 or 4 of them. You don't have any storage in this. You've got the M.2, which is powered through the motherboards. You don't need any SATA connections whatsoever, apart from to power the commander there. So you've got Corsair's own built-in stuff. You've already got these in the case, so we're going to need to power 2 of these. And do you have any plans to install any further drives in the machine? Because I don't know what your exact plans are for this.
Potentially, actually.
Okay.
Since I have the option to, why not?
Yep. Okay. So if you connect that to the power supply.
Okie dokie. Into the SATA.
Yep. So any one of those, I think it was 5. So that's it. This is straightforward in the sense of that obviously has to go in there and you can feel it click home. That's dead straightforward. So just leave it as is for the moment.
We need 2 of those, don't we?
Well, no, because you see, you've got 4 along.
Oh, I
right?
see.
So if those 2 are for this, then the only question is whether if you're going to put another SATA drive in, if it's anywhere near. So they're there, and then your drive bays are, the caddy was there, and you can put things there. So if you want to put an SSD or a 2.5-inch drive in one of these, the connection is probably going to have to be in the top, which isn't going to work with that. That will power these. So if you think you're going to populate these, you want another set of SATA cables, SATA connections. If you're going to use these caddies here, that will probably do the trick.
Okay.
I mean, you can always plug it in later. It's not the end of the world. It's not like doing the foundations of a house. So I'd say basically stop there.
Okay.
Okay, what's that you got?
This one is, it says Type 3 on it. PCIe.
Okay, so that is for PCI Express graphics. Now, I haven't unboxed the 2070. That's probably going to have 2 connections on it. They might be 6-pin, they might be 8-pin. And as you can see, so that end goes to the power supply, that end goes to your graphics card, and it's a 6+2.
Just in case.
So you can do a 6, or if it's an 8-pin, you can do that. Do we have any double-headed power supply cable, graphics power cables, or are they all like that? Because sometimes you get ones that split off, so one cable can feed even 2 connections on the graphics card. It looks like you're going to need. Okay.
No.
Okay. Let's see how many you need.
Okay.
Because we don't need extra cables just for the locks getting in the way.
I can see cable management is going to be a really big part of this.
There we go. So we've got 8+6.
Okay.
So you need cables for 8+6.
8+6.
Which is basically two of what you had.
Okay. Oh no, this one looks like the double one that you did.
Oh, you got a double as well, have you?
Yeah, there we go. This is that, right?
Looks like it. Right,
Yeah.
excellent. In that case, that will feed your graphics card all on its own. So I'll be going for that personally.
So this pops in this end.
Yep.
And that goes here.
That's it, and sneak home. Lovely. So we've got SATA, we've got graphics, and now you need the main power connections that go on your motherboard.
Okay.
So you've got your 24-pin, which is there, and you've also got an 8 and a 4. Those feed the CPU, and you'll always on a modern motherboard have an 8. Having an additional connector, either 4 or 8, is frankly overkill. But there's no harm in using it. You don't need it. You really don't need it. But
Okay. Well, I've got
we'll do it
an 8
anyway.
here.
Right, lovely. Now with that fella, because the power supply end is 8-pin and the CPU end is 8-pin, it's actually labelled on the connector which end goes in.
CPU, and this one says type 3.
Right, so the type 3 goes in the power supply.
Right.
So the CPU end is free for the CPU.
Makes sense. And that goes...
Same type of connection as the PCI Express.
Nope, wrong way. Would help.
There we go. And let's have another of those, or a 4-pin for the secondary connector. Again, so that's SATA. Got loads of extra cables here. Where's the bag they came in? Let's start. There we go. Lovely. Let's stash away the extras. So, oh, that's obviously connected. Don't want to take that away.
And they go 8, so they go
Yep.
here. Oh, yeah, that way up. Okay.
Lovely. And then finally you need the 24-pin main power. That's more SATA. We do have a 24-pin, don't we? Don't tell me the only one we don't get is the 24-pin. I'm feeling let down here. Okay, we might have to use the standard 24-pin.
Yeah, I'm not seeing.
I think something's gone amiss with our Corsair order. Okay, stick all those in that bag there.
All right. And keep that.
What a shame. What a shame. We're doing so well there. Okay, so we need the 24-pin main power connector, main power cable. Which is that there. It's gonna look out of place.
Just a little. Going for the zebra effect, black and white. tightly connected.
Yeah, yeah, requires a bit of manhandling or person handling. You got the snick. Excellent. Right. So now it is power supply into case. You've got the decision to take about whether you install the power supply with the fan down, because you've got dust filter here at the bottom, so if you're drawing air in, then the fan obviously is on the bottom, or you can have it installed with the fan up, in which case you're drawing air from the inside of the case, and it makes actually almost no difference at all, is the truth of it. But if you have if your house has got carpet, lots of dust, pets and such like, I'd be personally wanting to draw the air in from above. If you've got a reasonably, non-dust-free environment, you're fine drawing it in from the bottom. So.
Well, I will be getting carpet, so probably have the fan on the inside.
Fan on the inside. And then the other thing, actually, also get the choice when you put it in. Sometimes you can literally go by aesthetics. How does it look?
Yeah.
Because labels and such like, which I know sounds very shallow, but.
Well, we are building an aesthetic PC, so aesthetic-based PC. That's not too bad. And this is the way the text is up anyway. So.
Right. Okay, so take your bag of fixtures.
Okay.
Came with, and you want the 4 screws.
Oh, my nails are failing me. Don't fail me now.
Well, I'm going to sit down.
There you go.
Okay. So the power supply is sort of floating a little bit free, but
Okay, we screw them in.
exactly. And I'll suggest you run each of them in loosely at first, just to get it lined up, and then tighten them. And you'll see you've got a number of holes, more than 4 holes, because if the power supply is flipped, the holes aren't in a rectangle; they're one's offset.
Right. Awesome.
That's it, all snugged down. Lovely. Right, and then we can put the dust filter back in. I'll let you do it, Ashley.
This way around here.
Yep.
There we go.
Righty-dighty. So power supply is in place. We could put the motherboard, and well, you could put the motherboard assembly in now, and then after that we can play with the cooler.
All right.
So lay it down. Weighs a bit more now than the power supply's in it.
Yeah. All right. So motherboard.
Okay. Before the motherboard goes in, let's get these cables out of the way. Okay, the motherboard itself stands on standoffs, and they're already installed. It's always worth checking. If not, that box of accessories would have the standoffs in. They're often brass in colour, but those are all there. And you want to put the I/O shield in the case. I/O input-output. This is the input-output panel. That's the thing that goes around it. So that goes into the case, and then these ports and connectors go through. So we just turn that so the ladies and gentlefolk can see. And the question is, which way up to go? Obviously it's rectangular, but you need to match it to the ports and connectors on your motherboard.
This way around.
Yep, lovely. So it's going that way.
Okay. So
And it's, I'll just
this
hold
is the
those.
top, so I would assume it would be going this way.
Make sure those fan cables aren't in your way.
Yeah.
And it's quite a tight push.
Oh, it pops into place.
Has a habit of kind of, as you get one corner in place, another one pops out. It's I'm tempted to call it nasty technology, but I don't think technology is really the right word. It's just stuff.
And really don't want to. Ow! Sharp pieces, though. Very, very sharp pieces.
I shouldn't laugh, but the number of times I've struggled with these things over the years. And yet it's so simple, isn't it? Rectangular piece of steel going into a rectangular hole in the case.
This is why you play with those shapes as a kid. Put the rectangle in the rectangular hole.
And then, is that in? Yeah, all good?
Yeah, I think
Once the motherboard's in place, it's pushing, so it's actually going to hold it in place.
Yeah. It looks
Right,
more or less.
if we make sure everything's out of the way, and I think it is, then it can be... Oh yeah, I heard a little snick there. Okay. Right, motherboard assembly. I'll hold that fan cable out of the... Oh, you do it with one hand, and then if
And that one goes down there.
You're doing this. You'll put it all in. Okay, so that goes in, and you're lining up those I/O connections into the shield. And then one of those standoffs has kind of got a dome on it, and that'll just pop into the central hole in the motherboard. So as you settle it down, I'm just going to pop up that one there, I think.
It's here. There it is.
There we go. And once that's in place...
Yep.
Okay, now again, theoretically you could do all this with the case upright and do it, nightmare, absolute nightmare. Doing it laid down, much, much easier. Okay, if you now reach for your Corsair box of accessories, the brown box, which came with the case, and you open it up, and this is the...
Oh. Okay.
And what you've got, a few cable ties for tidying things up, and you've got various fasteners. So we have got long screws, actually not sure, they look like fan screws. Very short screws to do SSDs, I would guess. Those look like motherboard standoff screws, and those are kind of coarse threaded jobs for tapping into fans.
Okay.
And that is a spare standoff. What I would suggest you do is to take that spare standoff out the bag and just run one of those screws in a turn or two just to confirm they're right, because some of these screws look similar but ain't. And graunching a screw into a standoff and then having it jam is a bad feeling. Bad feeling. So if you just confirm that screw seems to be correct for that spare standoff.
Yep.
Okay. So if you screw down the motherboard, and there ought to be 9 in total, that central one that's already there doesn't have a thread in it, so that's 1. So there should be 8 screws going in all round. Doesn't matter which order you do it in,
Okay.
as long as the board's all settled in place and happy. And again, in theory, you can do all this with the board, with the case vertical and the board vertical, and it's always struck me as a really hard way of working flat on a table. So, well, it's not just easier, it means you don't... I mean, if you drop a screw now, for instance, it could easily go in the power supply if you're working upright, which would be a very bad day.
Oh. So, considering we've seen some of the instructions and things so far, what do you think for complete novices? How would they get on?
It's actually quite
ambitious.
It's quite straightforward building your own PC. Is the fact of the matter. Putting the parts in is quite straightforward. I find it frustrating that little things like the power supply shroud was actually the thing that caused us the most anguish. And I think it's because this case is a version of a previous Corsair, and they've taken the user guide and I guess it's gained the power supply shroud, and they haven't bothered putting that in the instructions. Right. And it was only, what, 2 screws?
Yeah.
It was just find the correct screws. Once you've done that, easy peasy. But till you've done that, blooming impossible. And there's no particular knowledge required, and yet there we were fighting it like idiots. Other bits and pieces, putting a processor in the motherboard, I don't know how many times I've done it, and I find it, because it's very, what's going on there? Is there a missing standoff?
Might be a missing standoff.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Had we noticed, I'd have put the extra standoff in, but you've got plenty of support. Okay, looks good, just go and nip them up, check they're all tight.
Okay. Don't want them too tight, obviously.
Building your own PC, particularly when you're using an all-in-one or an air cooler, is quite straightforward, is the truth of it, provided you take your time and you plug the cables in correctly. And it's like you're doing with the power supply, with the modular power supply. As you're pushing the cables in, make sure it snicks home. Little things like that, because otherwise when you fire it up, it ain't going to work. But you can be reasonably confident, you heard the click, 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 that it's all going to be good. Right, so that's your motherboard assembly installed, your power supply's in there. If we now hook up the if you hook up the cables, we can move on to the next stage.
Okay, so I need to put in the 24 pin.
Yep. The plan now, liquid cooler. It would have been nice to put the liquid cooler in the roof because we have got 6 LL120 fans. There are 2 fans already installed in the case. 6 more, well, you're not going to use 6, but some would have been nice. But there's not much space. I think...
Which is surprising.
Yeah, I think we've agreed the rad's got to go in the front along with its fans. Whether you, at a later date, choose to put more fans in the roof, just frankly for the look of the thing. I mean, it'd be a shame not to do some. But you need to get in the front of the case.
Right, so on the diagram, I do believe this comes off.
Yes, and I can see how it goes, and it's one of the methods I actually hate, which is... If you look, actually, let's rotate it so the nice camera can see, which can make it more difficult for you. You'll see you've got these little clips, and that means there are going to be more clips on the other side. And my experience is, if these are near the edge, is that the ones on the other side are on that edge, which means they're outside the main compartment. So it's fiddle time. Fiddle. Over to you. I feel quite mean watching, but the fact is I don't think there's a trick to this. I think it's just like, ugh. Right, and if I just hold that, can you just release more latches along the top here?
Yeah, they're all gone.
Are they?
Yeah.
Why hasn't it popped loose then?
Not 100. I think it's because there's these bits in here.
If you stood this up, are there more latches?
Yeah, there are, but
Just be nasty. This be.
There we go.
Okay.
I think there's one
gentle pressure.
more.
Has the top got to come off?
Yeah, the top comes off as well.
Have we got to read the book of words? No, no. Failure, total failure. Beaten by a power supply cover. Removing top and front. Okay, well that's saying to me that
There are screws.
Yeah, but they're going to be on the top. So if you go to the top back. That camera over there has got like literally the top 3 inches of my head.
Your fans aren't going to be happy with me for covering you up.
Well, yes, well,
Oh, there we go.
Excellent. And I'm still not much the wiser. I'm going to let you wrestle with this.
Okay.
You got the delicate touch.
There. I think that's one of the ones that's causing...
Oh, I tell you what. That front panel, okay, it looks like to me like the front I/O. Is that... Oh, it is separate. Okay, fine. Because sometimes the I/O is connected to the front panel, so you get the USB and the switches and so on. No, it's fine. It's just a plastic panel. Good.
One more. I believe...
It's like hard work, no?
A little bit fiddly. Not gonna lie here.
You're putting it on be easy enough, as in you'll just have to snap
There's
it back.
a bit here that's attached, but I can't...
There you go.
Woohoo!
Okay, well that was...
Oh, that's still connected though.
Oh, nice. So that's RGB. Okay, fine. If we leave that down there for the moment...
Okay.
Hang on, there's a block connector. Okay, there's a block connector. If you have a little look. Okay, so we can just disconnect that block connector. Okay, so that makes life easier. Take the front panel out of the way. Okay, so now we have the core chassis. And now it's okay to put the liquid cooler in place. So, should we do this with this laid down? I think so.
Okay.
Right. You've got... Just give you a bit of working room.
Wow. All right. So this plastic's got to come off. More instruction manuals.
Yeah, I'm just putting it back. I mean, it's going to be the same stuff as usual.
So it's recommending it go at the top.
Yeah, they always do. And yet the fact is that the space available is that much, and it's the memory.
Yeah.
The edge of the memory is there, and the clips are there. But in addition, the height of the memory
And it wants
how much is overhang. And if you look at the height of the heat spreaders and the memory, and look where they come in line here, you'll see the mounting slots for liquid cooler. That's a 120 and that's a 140. This is 2x120, being 240 in length. Therefore, it's going to that point there, which is overlapping with the memory. If the memory was lower height, and it's not very tall memory, if it was lower height, it would just about go. But as it is,
just about. Plus, I've got the fans to add on as well.
And you've got the cables.
Yeah.
And it's doable. If you had to do it, I'm sure you could lean on it and get it in there, but it's not ideal.
Not ideal. All right.
Whereas
so we're going to stick it in the front.
You've got this great big space. So your options for doing this, apart from for comedy, if you look at the cold plate.
Yep.
Oh, you've taken off. Did you take off plastic?
Yeah.
Fine. I didn't see you do that. Where it says make sure you remove this before. Fine. Okay, you're way ahead of me then, because that's the number one. The number one gotcha. If you put the pump cold plate on the processor.
Okay.
And that's going to kind of guide you as to where the radiator goes and which way up the hoses go. And obviously, you got the manufacturer's logo. You generally want it horizontal just to look right, if possible.
So,
how the cables with this?
There we go.
Okay, right. And if I just hold that in place, and if you swing the rad to where it's going to go,
so
you could do it that way, or if you flip it, you could. Okay, you see, you could do it either way. You've got options. Okay,
yeah.
Rest that down there for the moment.
Okay.
Grab the fasteners from the H100 there, and you want the 4 thumb screws that hold the pump body down. And these you want to screw them down. Once they're all roughly in place, you want to snug them down, moving diagonally. You don't want to kind of go graunch down on one corner and then move on to the next and the next and the next. You want to snug them down evenly. I'm just going to keep my fingers in it. That's it. Okay, too far.
Too far?
Yeah, if anything, you want to just snug it down. That's it.
Yep.
Now the opposite. And I'll get my fingers out of the way. Okay. And then the fourth, and then just go and tighten it up. It's just you don't want it to tip. You want it to make nice even contact.
Right. And then go back and tighten them up.
You got it. What have we got here? So we go. I see. So we've got 2 RGB connectors, SATA power. Right, we've got loads of connectors. Okay, right. So you're good there. We'll worry about the connections in a moment.
All right.
For now, it's going to be a case of hooking up the fans to the radiator.
Okay.
And the question now is whether you put the fans on the inside of the chassis. Do you put the fans between the radiator and the chassis, or do you put them inboard of the radiator? You can have it either way. It's called pushing or pulling, either pushing or pulling the air through the case.
Does it make a difference which way?
It can affect performance slightly. It's more of an aesthetic thing. How many times have you used that word? But you've also got the consideration that if the fans are inside the radiator, you'll see them inside inside rather than through that front panel. And this front panel's got windows.
Right.
Whereas if they're outside,
You'll see them through the
You'll
windows.
see them through the window. And in addition, if they're inside, then you've got to worry about cables. Whereas if they're between the chassis and the radiator, and no pressure, but that's how I'd do it, then you've got less aggravation, quite frankly.
Well, without the pressure...
Excellent.
I think I will probably do
Great
it your way.
minds think alike. Brilliant, brilliant. The other thing is, in terms of direction, do you know which way a fan works?
I'm going to copy this one,
Right.
so I'm guessing so it's going to be this way.
You should be able to see, if you look on the edge of the fan, if they've done this right, and very often Corsair does, you should see directional arrows. There we go.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, airflow, but it's quite subtle.
Mm-hmm.
You actually do kind of need to know that's what that is.
That's really
Because if you were to mount, as you say, you're copying this fan, so therefore it's easy. If you mount it that way, it'd actually be sucking air out.
Right.
Which obviously would be a catastrophe. But why they don't make the arrows bigger, I never understand. It's quite important. Okay.
Okay.
So you are going to get the fasteners.
Which are in here.
Which are those long screws.
Should the long boys. Oh no, it's happened again. I'm losing screws, they're rolling. Oh, it's another. It's one of the washers, they're rolling away from me. My long-standing battle with...
Lost washers.
Yeah. Okie dokie, so got one. And we're going to stick it in between the chassis.
Between the chassis and you want the cables exiting downwards, which is to the side, because your connection points are all through here. Okay, so
want it down. And
the fan's going which way round?
It is, the arrow's pointing that way.
Is it?
So yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah, it's going that way.
Is it matching this fan?
No, it isn't. Oh.
Back to front. That's it.
Wait a minute. Oh, right, yeah. The direction of the airflow.
You got it. Direction of airflow. So you want it. That's it. That way around and that way around, with the cables going down there.
1 second. Come here. I can't actually reach them. There we go. Oh, there's two of them.
Yeah, you got one connection for the fan and one connection for the RGB in the fan.
I have fat fingers and I can't get them through here. There we go.
That's it.
Got it.
Okay. Now, what you need to have a little think about at this moment is that the second fan, if you had to now put the screws in place and start, even if you don't tighten them, the second fan, obviously you've got no space to put it in, so you need to offer up the second fan in the same way at this stage.
Yeah.
Which is why I've got it laid down, because if you have it all upright and you're trying to put two fans, or even if a 360 had 3 fans, and you're trying to juggle 3 fans and all the cable.
3 fans.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
So I'm guessing in theory the more fans the better, right?
It's down to area. So if you look at the if you look at the fan, the blades do the work. The hub is dead area because the hub's where the motor is. So you can see that if you have you can imagine if you have a 140 fan rather than 120, you've got a lot more fan blade because the hub is going to be the same. So that's the same. So the fact that your fan increases into yay size, you're actually adding a significant amount of area. So there's a lot to be said for having a 280 rad with 2 140 fans than a 360 with 3 120s. A 360 is better than a 240, no two ways about it.
Okay.
But a 280 very possibly is better than a 360. It depends. I know it's a sensible question and there should be a really straightforward answer, but it's down to area, but it's a little bit more than that. And the thing I really hate doing is cranking up fan speed. I like fans to be low and slow.
You have to be careful with the noisier models as well, right?
So some of them will take your bloody fingers off, which again is all bits of your fingers, which is why again I'd much prefer to have fans outboard of radiators if I can.
Right.
Okay, so these long screws here, so screws and washers.
Screws and washers.
Yeah, so that's it. And then it's going to be a case of
sticking you up there.
And the radiator is aluminium, so the threads are quite feeble. If you run the
it through the radiator.
Run the screw into the radiator by.
Oh, no, actually, are you actually? Yeah, we'll do the top first. Yeah, makes sense. Pro tips. There we go.
I've literally never sat here and watched someone install a liquid cooler or all-in-one in the past. This is genuinely the first time just sitting there, hands on the table, not doing it.
How uncomfortable do you feel on the scale of 1 to 10?
It's all right. It's just different, you know? I mean, there's no reason to watch someone else doing it. It's not like a competitive sport, is it? Wouldn't that be the world's most... Yeah.
Competitive PC building.
Yeah, correct.
Someone needs to get on that, please.
People at Intel have done that in the past at shows.
Really?
They've done it at events. How quickly can you install and do a thing? I'm going back many years. Never done it myself, but I know a few people that did.
Gosh, I wonder what that must have been like. Well, do you know what the
They had a
fastest
great
was?
time.
Really?
I can't remember. I bet you are back in the days of hard drives and so on. We're installing Windows. Part of it is you had to install Windows and make it actually work. So lots of KitGuru. And if you're building a PC yourself, then clearly if you're using the fasteners that come with the liquid cooler, then you should be absolutely fine. Standard word of advice is to make sure the screws you're using are not overly long. If you're using screws from some other fan pack or other cooler or some such, it's quite possible to have screws that are 5mm too long. If they're 5mm too long, they'll potentially go into the radiator core, the thing will leak. If you're using the fasteners that come with the hardware, you should be absolutely fine, but that's standard word of advice. Use the hardware that comes in the assembly. Don't mix and match unless you're really sure you're doing the right thing.
Okay, there we go.
Oh yeah. Right. Now you need to connect stuff together. So you've got the fans bus, so you've got one fan header for, hang on, right. So the fan headers, you've got there one fan header, one RGB. So the RGB connections are going to go to the RGB doohickeys there. The fan heads are going to go to those.
Okay.
And then that is the monitor. That's why it's only got one wire. It's just a taco wire. So the computer knows what's going on. So you connect that to your CPU header on the motherboard. That is the SATA power that it requires to work.
Gotcha.
Over to you, Storm.
Alrighty, so I've got
stand it up at this stage.
yeah.
Let's just stand up.
So I should thread this back through the top one, I guess. Oh no, I guess this one could go through the top.
Your PC, your rules.
Oh lord. And then this one can go through here because there's a space for it. Alrighty, turn it around so you guys can see. So this one.
There is actually one other cable. I've just remembered. This is an H100i. I can't remember if it stands for intelligent or not. I really should know that. Basically, it means there's a USB connection on the Corsair. So if you look on the pump body, which is the bit that's on the CPU now, you should find there's a little USB port, and it was going to be on normally the most awkward side to find. I think it's...
Oh yeah, I see it.
And then, so that connects to that. We should have done that when we installed it. Sorry about that. And then the header, the other end, once you route the cable, connects to a USB header on the motherboard. And then when the Corsair software is installed, can you see what you're doing?
Yep, it's in.
Once it's connected to the USB header on the foot of the board, then the Corsair software will understand what the cooler is doing. Routing those is a swine, but don't forget you've got the graphics card going plumb across the middle of the board, so you might want to take the cable out through one of the grommets and then have it reappear at the foot of the board.
Put it out, maybe up here.
Possibly. Depends how long your cable is. That
it's pretty long.
Okay, that's good.
put it back through maybe this one. If it can, no, maybe the middle one.
You need to also identify a USB header to connect it to.
Yeah, I'm having trouble locating it actually.
Right, foot of the board is usually the favourite place.
Cause I've got one in there.
Yep. But have you got another USB header next to that? They're often in pairs.
No, actually. Get. There we are. Okay, it's through.
And where's that going to?
Well, this is where the other one is, but I don't see the one next to it. There's
right,
no.
there might not be another one next to it.
Ah.
In case we might be looking at the manual. No, I'm going to say you're quite correct. That's USB 3 there. I'm going to grab the ASROCK manual and just check, but I think you've got the one down the bottom which you're already using for the front panel, and I don't think you've got the option of... that's a shame. Right, meanwhile, if you go back to those fans, I'll grab the ASROCK manual.
Okie dokie. So the fans plug into this here. Do both of them plug into this? Or just the one?
Yeah, so
No, it's this
those
one.
cables are double headed, so that's the RGB.
Yeah, this is the
right,
RGB.
that's it. And then the other connection next to it is a regular fan header, so that goes to...
Oh, that goes into the motherboard.
No,
No?
If you look... So that's your RGB, that...
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You could go to the motherboard, and you could just ignore those, but... If you connect it that way, you'll keep the Corsair system happy. You all right there?
Yeah, no, I'm all plugged in. I'm just trying to see if I can spot it.
The header, you've used the USB header at the bottom, you've used that correctly, and that covers USB ports 1 and 2. There's a 4-pin header next to it, which is...
Ah, I see it.
Yeah, but it's basically half a USB header.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why on earth they'd have done that, so that's a...
So that's this one,
I'm
and
not
it would
sure
go
what-
there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what would happen if you were to connect that to that, because this is only using... It's using 4 wires, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So if you connected that to the 4 pins of that, with the red over this side, but do you need to feed it, do you need to have it pop up down below rather than over the side?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
best do that. You got it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so...
So having the reds facing you?
Yeah, the same, put it
Same
down,
as this one.
Same direction as the other one, exactly.
Okay. Got it.
I'm going to have to do some research later on, because that's a mysterious 4-pin... Whoa, boxes everywhere. That mysterious 4-pin USB, that's a new one on me.
Wait, they're coming through the top row, aren't they? So I should just make sure the top row is connected.
Yeah, obviously that's unconnected, otherwise...
There we go.
Fresh air.
Alright, that's it.
Brilliant.
It's
Coolers in place, right.
Yep.
Okay, we need to put the graphics card in, we need to sort out cables such that they are, because I don't know how happy you are having them, trading them here, there and everywhere, but it's actually more to do with having things like on the same side, because they're going around the thing. For example,
Oh, maybe I should move that so it's all going over that instead, you think?
that type of thing.
Okay, so this one, not connected to anything, so that's easy to move. These...
What's not connected to anything?
This one.
Oh, SATA power, well that does need to be connected.
Yeah. So yeah, I can quickly move these, I think.
So that's 3 SATA power required for 2 things within the case, which are going to be RGB. One for the Mini Commander RGB controller, one for... I'm not sure what the other one's for. I don't know if it's for the lighting in the case itself. And then a third one for the H100i. What fun.
So obviously this PC we're building's got a lot of RGB parts.
Yes.
I've spoken to friends and there's a lot of polarizing opinions on RGB. What do
Yes.
you think about RGB?
A case manufacturer actually said to me that I was deemed to be someone that did not like RGB, which
Yeah.
I thought was a bit harsh. I don't know where that came from particularly. I would say I like it a lot, but I like it when it's done well, because sometimes you see a fan, it's got 6 or 8 or whatever it is, you can go dot, 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 and it's like they're red or green or blue, and you think, oh, I'm not impressed. Whereas the LL120 fans, for example, and also Fantex do really good RGB, and many LEDs, huge amount of colours, really smooth patterns and such. Like I used the LL120s, and I did, I don't know if you saw it or not, but the Corsair 1000D in normal case with a daft number of fans and such like, and hugely heavy and what's it to build in, but the fans and the lights were really nice, really like them. So I like that, I do, if it's done well. Some manufacturers are still a little behind the times with RGB, and I'm not impressed by that. But one thing, as I was saying to you earlier, I think off camera, when I was doing the 1000D, I found that using the same Commander Mini unit and these fans, I couldn't mix and match different Corsair RGB fans.
Right.
Different series of fans wouldn't play nicely together. You have to use all the same. And on these shelves behind, I've got, first ones I point out are LL120s. So that's, oh, there you go. So HD140s. Okay, I couldn't mix those HD140s with those LL120s on the same system. It doesn't work.
Oh, shame.
So that is the sort of thing I find. But then compatibility with RGB is a real nightmare.
Okay. Yep, that's
good.
Yep.
Okay. Now, at the moment, the cable management, to my mind, is not the tidiest, but functionally, with the graphics card, this is a PC. So if we lay it down, then graphics card time.
Graphics card.
And then we can, after that, we can worry about things like cable ties to sort of...
Okay.
Things like a little... If you grab a cable tie from there, for example,
Oh, none of these ones.
and zoosh that around that bundle of wiring. Put it tight. You can just snip off the... That's it, for example. So,
Okay.
and more of the same as some of the other parts, but worry about that.
Yeah.
It's just that one's...
So graphics card.
Okay, graphics card here.
Whoa.
It's a beefy RTX 2070 from MSI, and it's going to go absolutely... My God, I didn't actually check for clearance, but that absolutely fills the gap.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
you need to obviously...
Clear these.
Exactly.
So, right.
Now the question
do
is
I
whether
even
you need
start?
to actually feed back through the cable management grommets. Where they're coming from, or is this...
These are the fans coming from the bottom here. So I could tie them up there, couldn't we?
Yeah, it's really a question if you can get through to the back side.
Oh,
That makes
What,
life
back
a lot
through that way?
easier. So
yeah.
if you can literally pull them through there, and if they're then out of the way and it's all happy, because it's a plain steel back panel, so once they're
What
out
are
of
you?
sight...
Oh, okay. Yep, that's all of them.
Lovely.
Shall I just tie these together?
For the moment you can leave it be.
Oh, okay.
You can worry about it after, as long as it's going to work. That does make a big difference, doesn't it? Right, okay, yeah, you got your SATA, okay, your SATA power for your...
There's no way I can...
Right.
Maybe no.
When
I
I was
don't think
saying
it's long
casually
enough.
earlier about how you didn't need another... Okay, I think we need to get an accessory
We can push this through the
cable.
back. No?
Yeah, where's the accessory box? And feed, so if you hook that into the power supply, feed it straight through the cable management grommet and out the back, and then you can feed your pump connection also out the back, and it can all hook up on the back.
Okay. through that one instead. Fine. Unconnect you.
Through the back, through the back, through the back, and if you disconnect the, that's it, and feed that through the back. Yeah, perfect. Straight through the. I was going to.
Oh, through there. Yep. Okay.
That's it. And hook that up.
Okay.
There we go. So that's out of the way. Obviously, it's more messy.
That's
it, and you can put that down the bottom. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, and that's all clear now.
Brilliant. That's good. Okay, so now the graphics card is going to go in that slot. So if you offer that up, obviously at the moment you've got the blanks in the back. You want to see which blanks to remove. So that's, you're missing the slot at the moment. You're just identifying which expansion slots you'll be using. So you want to move that blank there, and then one next to it. Okay, so if you take the card out, grab the screwdriver, and it's that and that. Now you'll notice there are holes here. But as you go down through there, because they made the case rather small.
I still am finding it hard to believe that this is a small case.
It's a compact ATX, so if you're using an ATX motherboard as you are, then there's not a lot of space around it, as you're experiencing here at the back and indeed at the top. You could put fans in the top, but you'd struggle with the radiator. And at the back, you have to go through this piece of steel to get to those expansion slots. Okay, and then the graphics card goes in.
Wow, okay.
You want to make sure that's it. You want to make sure it's mechanically and electrically in the slot before you put. By all means, run a screw in loosely, but you always want to make sure it's snuck home.
Uh-oh.
You might want to
do that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Again, technically and theoretically you can do all this stood upright, but then gravity's working against you. And that's not great. RTX 2070, don't know if fills the middle of the case.
It's massive. Oh my goodness, please stop falling out. There we are.
Look at that.
Cool. Looks like that's in place.
Okay, and then tighten on the first. Brilliant. Lovely. And now you need to hook up the power to that.
I noticed
now,
that.
the power connections, you could either come directly up or you can come around the back and come from the... I personally prefer to come from above, because that way you're avoiding the fans.
Is that this one? Oh no.
Should be.
Yep, that's this one.
Yep, you just...
Right here.
It's just a question of taking the weight off it, so the cables can actually move freely.
Is that... are they...
That's about it, actually.
Oh really? Okay. It's gonna be a tight one. If I can. I'm not sure if I can. I think it actually will go.
Should do.
Ah! You know what? If it wasn't upside down, it would probably help, wouldn't it?
I couldn't see that. It wasn't me being mean, it's just your hand was in my vision, so I couldn't see what was going on there. Actually, let's just turn this so the ladies and gentlemen can see, which is worse for you because you've got to reach right round. But,
there we go.
Lovely.
Is that 2 in?
It's an 8 and a 6, isn't it? So then...
These two. And then, yep, a 6. There we go.
Lovely. Right, that should be a PC. Right there. But you need to put the power supply shroud back in place and the front shroud. I don't think we'll bother putting the hard drive caddy in because I really can't see the point. But obviously you'll take that away and you'll be able to do that at a later date should you need it. But we've got
the shroud back on.
Yeah, shroud. Now we've got 2 shrouds, haven't we? I can't remember which. So it was the main one that went on.
That will go on first, so that goes.
That was the one that was all sorts of fun, and now you've got cables in the way you obviously need to line it up and make sure nothing's going to... You're not trying to put, you know, cables through solid plastic or any such.
So that's gonna...
And that's a statement of the obvious, but... And I recall two of these thumb screws were for, one of these thumb screws, two of these thumb screws were for that.
There's, yeah, two.
Okay, alright,
so you are causing me grief, so I think I may have to move this one.
Often the way. Ah, you've looped that cable around these fellas. That's why you were struggling, I think you'll find.
I've looped them around which one?
You've come around.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. I'll revisit these in a sec, but I want to... Okay. Okay. Okie. So, let's check this the right way around this time.
If the latch is on the right side, you'll be fine. These are the 2-pin to make it an 8. You kind of hook it in from below and then push it back like that.
Okay.
That's it, because otherwise the 6 can go and it actually drives the 2-pin connection out. That's it. Wasn't that easy that time?
Much easier. Okay, so what I need to do is push this USB bit back out and through the top instead, because that was getting stuck. And I need the top bit to... There we go.
I'll take your word for it. I was looking at the wrong side of things.
No,
okay,
isn't there?
Brilliant. Can the shroud go in place? That's the question.
Let's see.
This needs to be inside the chassis.
Yes, kind of. What is stopping you? Is it?
Try standing it upright, I think, and see if we can do it.
Okay.
More horizontal.
I don't like this. What is wrong with you? Oh, that felt.
Something happened.
Something happened. That's in, that's in.
Yep. Now I cannot remember now what fixed that in place. Remember, it wouldn't come out because there were fasteners. I seem to recall it was around this side, but that was the front. The front shroud had some thumb screws on the back. Does this also have some mystical hidden fasteners?
That needs to come through there.
Oh, okay.
So what is stopping you?
That little lug.
There. Oh.
Is that good? That's latched.
Is it latched?
Yeah. Right, does this cover have any screws that need to...
I think they were, I feel like they were at the bottom. Maybe?
On the bottom?
Yeah.
Could be right.
I am not right. No. Maybe on the back?
With them on the back.
Yeah.
Now this cover had
one.
But there was a second screw, so perhaps the second one is on this shroud and it was hidden behind cables. Is that...
Well, actually, I don't see it, and everything else seems to be clipped into place.
Yeah, but it wouldn't come out initially, would it?
No.
There, what's that?
Must be this one.
What's that? Is the shroud actually that far forward? No, the shroud's not. No, that's... There. There, I can see this point here.
Okay, I see it. That one. This one here.
I'd say so. Let's just rock it.
Oh,
it's
is it this one?
It's there.
Yeah, I see it.
That's it.
Got it.
That was the one that was causing us all grief before because it was hidden. There's one of these thumb screws here.
Okay. Thank you.
I think they're all the same thumb screws. 2 of them are for that back cover.
Oh, let's not fall over. That would be a good thing to do. Okay.
Right.
And now that you're
USB
on,
connection to make. So
yeah.
Can you feed the USB cable through somewhere?
Well, I'm wondering, which way did this one go on? This must, yeah, it's this way. But I'm wondering how snug it is if I can fit that through here.
Why not put the cover in?
And see.
Oh.
Because if there's still some give there, then I can feed it through there.
That's it.
Oh no, there is a gap there, so I can feed it through there.
Lovely.
But definitely would have to do it afterwards.
Right. Okay, and then stand it up, and there's going to be another screw on the hidden side. Is that it there?
Yeah, I think so.
If it is, you'll now find that that shroud won't move, which will be the clue. Just check the shroud so it's solid. Right.
No, that wasn't it.
That was the mystery screw then that I removed before. It wasn't the one we wanted. So where's the shroud? No, you can leave the screw in place.
Okay.
It's just, there's another one to go in. That's the point.
So it's here somewhere.
There we go. That's in place.
Ah,
Well, that's
fantastic.
amazingly fiddly for one little thumb screw.
Okay, and let me get that
now you need to hook
USB
in the
back,
USB.
which
So-
is you. That goes through
Well,
here.
you've got enough free play in you. Good.
Yep, I've got it.
Excellent.
Which comes through, and you're not. That's not your pin. Still not your pin, is it? No. Can I borrow that a second? Thank you. There we go. That's your pin. Thank you. All right. That's looking much neater.
It's an amazing amount of messing around, isn't it, for putting back in 2 plastic shrouds and 2 thumb screws. I mean, that's basically what we've achieved in the past while.
Fantastically complicated.
Right. Okay, at this stage in the game, you should be good to put the front panel on and the top panel on.
Okay. So, did the front panel have any screws, I wonder?
No, the front panel clipped, but the front panel had that header. And the front panel, so basically if you line up these clips going through those lugs and make sure that cable's out of the way and make sure they're all lined up on both sides and then start to do a little snick, 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 and you should be good. All good?
Yeah.
Lovely.
And this one here?
Oh, top panel's over there.
Top panel's over here.
And that slides on. And there are the 2 thumb screws for that.
Thank you.
And this is the moment where Storm turns on the power supply, the rocker switch at the back, and
I see lights.
reach around the front to the button, which is around this side here. I've just
Oh, that one.
Yeah, it's all the way there. Fingers crossed.
Ah!
And now we see, do we have
Oh my god.
a working PC?
Oh, that looks pretty.
I'm hitting the del key on the, there we go. So we've got a splash screen on the, and we've got an ASROCK splash screen. That's it. We actually have what looks like a working PC. Z390 Taichi Ultimate with i9-9900K. Hurrah! I wasn't actually sure whether my face is in the picture as well. As I said that. Hurrah! That's better.
Oh my gosh.
And we're all good. That's it. Now there's a bit of cable management to do. Admittedly, update BIOS, install Windows, blah 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 blah. But that's just donkey work. But we are, I trust, going to see this PC in more of your videos in the future.
Absolutely. This thing is so gorgeous. It's going to be proudly displayed in all the videos I do from now on.
With the benefit of less Leo, more Storm, more PC, more RGB. Result.
Thank you so much for your help, Leo. On a scale from 1 to painful, how bad was it watching me?
No, it was all right. It's just the thing of, he says, behind the screen, behind the PC. It's the weird thing of trying to keep my feet. It's very strange. Clearly, I can't help myself. I'm just going to get my YouTube pillow.
Oh my gosh, Leo, we forgot another important part.
What's that?
The Haribos.
Haribo for Storm. There we go. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Subscription matters. You know about more videos as they become available. I'm Leo Waldy for KitGuru.
And I'm Storm.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.